What's up YouTube? This is Tony J Films with a new video, and today I'm going to be doing a decklist profile. The deck I've chosen to do is Horakhty Igknights. Now, this deck was 100% an idea made for me. I've always liked Igknights when they first came out, and I've seen so many Igknight builds with Exodia and Key Beetle for Xyz monsters and whatnot. But with Horakhty, he's a different story. He's one of my favorite win condition cards of all time, next to Final Countdown and Destiny board. So with Horakhty, since I'm not a big fan of the Necroface build, I wanted to go with a different build, and when I seen Igknights, I knew that was the key to making this deck something. So let's get into the decklist profile, shall we? We have Dragnov at 3, as well as Musket, and then the cards we run at 2 are Ignite Eagle and Magnum. With the level 3s, you always want them at 2. 3 can get cloggy, and this deck mainly focuses on the level 4s because it's in Xyz rank 4 base deck to get Lava Ball Chain or anything else in there. But let's continue on. We have Horakhty himself, the badass, as well as your requirements, Obelisk, Raw, and Slifer, which all are good in this deck. I've actually at one point had summoned Slifer at 0 attack points, and his effect was just enough to stop my opponent, which is really funny. And then Raw sometimes isn't always the best to pay your life points down to 100, which is why most of the occasions I'll never use Raw's effect, but I'll just summon it to the field in case it's time for Horakhty to come out. So sometimes never try to summon the Winged Dragon of Raw, because paying your life points so quickly in a duel is never a good thing, especially in this deck with no support of defense whatsoever. Hardened Arm Dragon, he is a good card if you want to send Obelisk and Slifer to special summon it, and this deck, believe it or not, really needs them in the graveyard more than in your hand. But maybe to send Slifer there first is always better, because sometimes you might need that normal summon for Obelisk, because out of the 3 gods, let's face it, Obelisk is the powerhouse of the 3. Mainly being that maybe your life points can't be high enough, or you don't have enough cards in your hand to make Slifer any good in attack points. But Raw is definitely the worst out of the 3 when trying to normal summon it, because you do not want to pay all your life points. Next up, we have Raw's Disciple at 3. This is pretty obvious why you're going to spec Raw's Disciple to get the other 2 out, and you have 3 monsters for your tribute summon of any of the gods that you might have. And this is why I love Raw's Disciple. And with the new card, Jar of Avarice, that is all possible to recycle that bitch. So Raw's Disciple is absolutely needed in this deck at 3. Now I have Summoner Monk at 1. I have the other one side decked, and that's only because if you want to, I have BLS in the side deck as well, as you guys can see. BLS is another good card if you want to banish Summoner Monk or Raw's Disciple as well. Sometimes you don't want to go with that route, and sometimes you might need to. The reason why is because most occasions BLS is not a good thing to run in your deck, especially when you don't have the requirements in your graveyard. And trying to recycle Raw's Disciple multiple times to get it back into the deck, sometimes you won't even have a light in there at all. So it's iffy to have in the side deck, but at the same time, it's a theory yet to be tested. So you guys can try it out for yourselves. If you guys want to download the deck list, pause this video at any time, and you could just copy the deck, or if you would like me to, request me that I post a link to download the deck by itself already the way it is, and I'll be more than happy to do that for you guys. Instant Fusion at 2, that's also self-explanatory. You want Nodin in this deck for an extra special summon in the graveyard. Have the situation where you have a card in graveyard, like specifically Hardened Arm Dragon, because if you get the effect off of Nodin, you can have this monster summon, and when he's tributed, even if his effect is negated, you still make your god immortal, because his effect works as he was used for a tribute summon, not a on the field effect. Raigeki in this deck, way better than Darkhole in my opinion, because you try not to destroy your monsters on your side of the field, especially when you want to save yourself from life points. If the case happens you have to set monsters so you don't take any direct damage, then Raigeki is your way to go in this deck. Rhoda's at 2. You could do 3 if you want to search out any of your Ignite monsters, but sometimes 3 is cloggy, and if you use the Igknights activations effect to destroy them to add an Ignite to your hand, you don't want Rhoda at 3 by any means. 1 day of peace is good. You want to spare yourself from damage. That is more than helpful for you. It saved my ass on a number of occasions where I thought I was losing the duel, and believe it or not, 1 day of peace was enough to stall out for me to actually get my winning victory. Soul Charge, this is mainly to use on Slifer and Obelisk if you manage to get them into the graveyard. That's the cheapest way to get Horakhty, in my opinion. If you could find a way to normal summon Raw with Horakhty in your hand, and you could just Soul Charge Obelisk and Slifer from grave, you already have your 3 monsters. All you need is Horakhty to special summon and you win the duel. Upstart at 2, this is debatable between both Hand Destruction and Dark World Dealings. Dark World Dealings may be a little bit better if you want to dump any of the God cards, but Hand Destruction, sometimes your opponent isn't going to have 2 cards, sometimes you're not going to have 2 cards. Especially with this deck, by the way, it sets and summons, you're most likely not going to be able to keep 2 cards in your hand, so I don't recommend Hand Destruction, but it is side decked for those who want to try it out. Like I said, if you guys want, I'll post a link for you guys to download it, and then you guys could just edit it straight to DevPro for yourselves. I explained Foolish Barrel, so we'll just move on to Mystical Space Typhoon. Good at 3, especially to pop back row. And like I said, with this deck having no defensive play, you're going to want something that can stop your opponent's defensive play. And MST, I personally still think is better than Galaxy Cyclone, because if they have nothing but face-up cards, you're stuck with a Galaxy Cyclone in hand. Mound of the Bound at 3, this comes as no surprise why it's at 3. Sometimes if you have a God card out and you have Mound of the Bound on the field, there might want to MST that shit, and you get the effect off, so you can add any Divine Monster, mainly to add Raw or Horakhty, because you want to try to send, like I said before, Obelisk and Slifer to grave. Now, I have Magical Hats in here as well. If you have 1 monster left on the field, and your opponent has to end their battle phase because they have attacked with everything, you can chain Magical Hats instantly, spec 2 Mound of the Bounds, and you get effects of both of them, so you can add Horakhty and Raw that same turn. By far my favorite combo in this deck, mainly because getting the gods out by top decking them is not as easy as it looks. Maybe you'll draw Horakhty sometimes in your opening hand, but sometimes you don't need Horakhty, so you have 4 monster choices to choose from with Mound of the Bound when it gets destroyed by Magical Hats card effect. But make sure Mound of the Bound, if you summon it, is not destroyed by battle, because you do not get the effect off that way. And last but not least, to recycle any 5 cards, not just monsters, is Jar of Avarice, is why I think it might be a lot better than Pot of Avarice. It is still OCG, but if this card makes it to TCG, it's going to be one hell of a good card, especially in a lot of decks I play, because I don't really play meta, so with Jar of Avarice, it's definitely really helpful. And now we're going to move on to the extra deck. So Nodin at 2, that comes as no surprise. Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon is just a beast-ass Xyz monster and a really decent attack monster as well. Honor Arc, for meta, he's mainly in here just to steal a special summon monster. Castel, he's either there to set it face down if it can manage to destroy it, or obviously bounce it back to wherever it came from. And that goes for any card, not just monsters, if you guys don't know or play Castel. Exciting is a good card. Maybe not in this deck, because if you have a scale and you have to use Exciting's effect, you blow your scale, but sometimes it might be worth it, sometimes it might not be, so he's a gamble card in this extra deck. Lava Vault Chain at 2 is mainly either add any Igknights that you might not have, or any of the other monsters in the deck to the top of your deck, or if you want to dump Slifer or Obelisk with this effect as a Foolish Burial, then you can go right ahead. Ghoster Emerald is good if you have to send 3 Raw's Disciples back into your deck and draw 1. That is mainly the reason I run it at 2, is because if someone tries to negate 1, you always have the second one in your extra deck for backup. Or if you have a Ignite in grave, you're more than welcome to special summon it with Ghoster Emerald's effect, which I find to be really good, especially if it's the level 3 Ignites or even the level 4s, but mainly the level 3s are the ones that go to graveyard personally, because I spec these level 3s way too much and I only really use them for the rank 3s. Gaga Cowboy is in here. I could have chose a different card, but I chose Cowboy, and it is probably the funniest decision I've ever made, because his ass won me a duel. I had my opponent down to exactly 800 life points left. I had Mound of the Bound with Obelisk the Tormentor, and all my Ignites were in my extra deck, and my opponent had nothing left, and instead of attacking with Obelisk, I just felt like adding insult to injury, so I pulled out Cowboy and just ended it off effect damage just in case. But yep. Now moving on to the rank 3s of this deck, Leviathan Dragon. Everyone knows that you can just chain his effect when you summon. He becomes a 2500 beater rather than a 2000, which is why he's in here. Then we move on to number 20, Giga Brilliant. He's semi-okay in this deck. I haven't really summoned this monster in particular, but I've gone Alucard and Zen mains. But Giga Brilliant is good, especially when you detach one of your monsters, you gain 300 extra attack, because you never know. Such small attack gain can actually be a game changer. Alucard's like an MST, just pop a face down, but it's even better because you get to pop a face down monster as well. So if you, let's say you had Castel and you want to set your opponent's monster, Alucard and Castel are a good combo together. And Zen mains, he's self-explanatory. If you guys don't know who Zen mains is by now, you have major dueling problems. Zen mains is by far one of the best cards to use in this deck, especially when you need to stall. I could throw Swords of Revealing Light in there, but at the same time, stalling just does not help with spell cards because you don't want to cluster your deck with a lot of spell cards. And it seems a little bit stupid not to have more draw power in here, but at the same time, this draw power is as good as it gets in this gen, because with the special summoning, you do not want to run Pot of Avarice at all. Moving on to the side deck, I have Blacklisted Soldier Envoy at the beginning in here. I explained him earlier with Summoner Monk and Ra's Disciple. I have another Summoner Monk in case you need to throw a second one in there to get a higher percentage of getting Summoner Monk out as a material to get him to grave faster. Nodin at 2, I throw it in the side deck as another way in case you feel like you want to run 3, and as well as Instant Fusion. Number 48, Shadow Lich, is in my side deck. He is highly debatable with Giga Brilliant because sometimes I don't like Giga Brilliant at all. He's helped me win a few duels, but not in this specific deck. And Shadow Lich, he's got a beast-ass effect in my personal opinion. And yeah, so he's side decked in case you guys want to try him out instead of Leviathan Dragon, Alucard, or any of the other ranks, or just Nodin in general. You guys are free to take out Nodin. Rhoda is in here as well in case you guys feel the need to run 3. Upstart Goblin, same reason. Dark World Dealings and Hand Destruction I only put in here at 2 because the chances of you ever wanting to play Dark World Dealings and Hand Destruction are little to none in this deck. And last but not least, Transmigration Prophecy is a really good card when you definitely feel the need that Jar of Avarice is never going to be able to help you, because like Pot of Avarice, you need exactly 5. You can't have less than 5. So Transmigration Prophecy might be a little bit better to some people, but Jar of Avarice so far has helped me a lot because I get 5 cards in the graveyard like a bad habit. Mainly because I probably play like DevBot, blow all my stuff. But yeah, that's it for this deck list, guys. Like I said, you're free to check it out. I will post a download link if someone requests it, but only if someone requests it. Or if you want, you're more than welcome just to pause this video at any time, because literally there's nothing else but this video and this picture that you're watching right now. So you can pause this video at any time to get the deck list if you want to do it that way, or if you'd rather have me, like I said, post a link, go right ahead and request me to do that. And last but not least, I want to thank you all for watching my video and liking any of my videos if you have. If you guys want to keep up with my channel, like I said, you guys can always rate, comment, and subscribe. I must say that in all my other videos. If I have done any, I haven't uploaded in so long, guys, so I don't even remember what I have uploaded. I think it's only duels right now, but I'll get more stuff on here soon. Definitely stop with Yu-Gi-Oh for a little bit. I have so much other stuff I want to do. I have reviews I can do and all this other stuff I have planned, but just right now is not the best time for me to do this. So I've been sticking with Yu-Gi-Oh uploads. Hopefully that was enough for you guys to stick around my channel. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys want to try this deck list out, and if you do, send me a message, see how it worked for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Tony J Films signing out.